'cause I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta where they've got all hell for basements. Yeah, I lost my way, but I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta where they've got all hell for basements.
All right. Hey, everyone. Frankie here. New West Reset. Hello. How's it going? How's she going there, eh, buddy? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one, another live stream. New West Reset Live. Where are we at here? Episode 96 today. I put George Murdoch on trial for arson, people. It's circumstantial evidence, but we'll get into it. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too quick here. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Cheers to you. I got me a hot cup of Joe here. Ain't that the worst when people slurp their coffee in the coffee shop, the table right behind you, while you try to enjoy your glazed donut? Sunday, December 15th, 2024. Just a titch past 5 p.m. local time, mountain time. As always, we're coming at you live here from Purdy, Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada land, eh? Home of hockey and beaver pelts and maple syrup, I guess, and plaid shirts. Yeah, there you go. Anyway. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. Really appreciate it on this fairly decent-ish Sunday fun day. A little chilly-ish today, -6 Celsius right now. I think if we went to a high of, I don't know, -3 or 4 or something. Yeah, it's not bad, I guess. That is, in Fahrenheit, that is absolutely, I have no idea what that is. 20 degrees Fahrenheit? I don't know. I'm taking a shot in the dark here, people. Anyway, thanks for winding down your weekend here with me. Speaking of which, who have we got here? Say hello in the chat, in the box here. Let me know how you're doing. I mean, it could be worse out there. You know what I'm saying? Could be -30 and 3 feet of snow. Somebody asked earlier, I think it was Vaughn asked earlier in the chat, how's it going with the snow? It's almost all but melted now. Up until yesterday, it was above 0 and sunny. So except for in the shaded areas, the lee of the stone and whatnot, the shadow of a building or in the shade of a tree, it's not going to melt as quickly-ish. The south side of the street got pretty sloppy, I got to say. Speaking of whom, there he is, Vaughn. How you doing, Vaughn? Good to see you. How's she going, mate? I don't know, it's terrible. Terrible Aussie accent. That's totally fake. Anyways, Hippie Shakey's here. Good to see you, Hippie. Thanks for joining. Chassis Nick's in the box. Howdy, Chassis. Kathy Broughton's here. Broughton. I'm just teasing you, Kathy. Good to see you. Maybe it's just me who finds that amusing. I don't know. Old World Mi'kmaq is here, everybody. Quay Nidap. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Really appreciate all of you shooting in here. Sherry Ives is here. Howdy, Sherry. Hello. What's happening? How's the weather in all yours parts, people? How you doing with the weather? Is it terrible? Is it not too shabby? I don't know. Wiley's here as well. My neighbor to the south down there in Montana. We got Turtle. Turtle! Hey, Turtle's here. Hey, everybody out there, Turtle's here. I still have the window open because it's decent. It's decent, as the kids would say. Half decent. Out there's snow in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be 49 Fahrenheit and raining in the bluegrass state of Kentucky. It's, well, it's not the best, but I guess it's not too bad. I mean, that's chilly, and then you're getting wet at the same time, right? Like, now I'm cold and wet. 34 in Rochester. Torque Train is here. Rochester, up there in New York. A little sloppy in Montana. Yeah, the melting snow, it is. Yeah, it's terrible. Old World Mi'kmaq saying essentially no snow left here either on the East Coast. Yeah. Well, there it is. They were right the whole time, people. Global warming. High 80s there today, Fahrenheit. So that's like mid-20s Celsiatory or something. Not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. $22. That's chilly. 20. No, that's chilly. 22 is chilly. Not cold. Anyways, typical Canadian going on about the weather. Weather and hockey. Yeah, that's what we talk about up here, I guess. Anyway, thanks again for joining me. Appreciate it. I'm going to put George Murdoch on trial for arson. You may be asking yourself, hey, Frankie, who in Sam Steele is George Murdoch? And who are you to put him on trial? And what's this arson business? What's going on around here? Well, I'm fixing to tell you. Hold your horses. Before we get into that, if you haven't already, give a guy one of these. If you don't mind, just helps to push me out into the thing. We make our way to 2,000 subscribers. Thank you very much to all the new folks, new friends of the channel, been coming by and, saying hello. So, hey, hello back. Howdy. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. All of you that are watching this after the live, really appreciate all your time and support as well. I know these are big chunks, right? A couple hours of some Canadian going on about some weird stuff. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Links below for everything we're going to be covering here tonight. And speaking of links below, down there in that box, you'll find my New West Reset location map, as well as, MeWe, BitChute. Heck, even a fella's email is there if you want to send me a howdy, how are you? Or if you got some show ideas or photos or something, or you just say, hey, Frankie, look at this weird bridge over here where I live in St. Louis. And I'll be like, wow, that is weird. I dig that stuff. And speaking of links below, the Bumble as well. So howdy, everybody on the HooTubes and the Bumble. As always, broadcasting simultaneously live on both the HooTubes and that green fighting platform there. So thanks to everybody who's followed me over there as well. Appreciate it. All right, so this George Murdoch guy. I've talked about this guy before. I've been very suspicious of this fella. Now, he's the former mayor of Calgary back in the 1880s and 1890s. I think he had one term, and then somebody else was in there a couple times, and then he had 2 consecutive terms after that or something. I don't know. We'll get into it. Sorry, I'm just having a sippy slurp of the old coffee here. My cup of coffee. Excuse me. Just the right temperature out there, -6, and having yourself a hot beverage. Maybe it's cocoa. Maybe it's tea. I don't know. Whatever you like. Maybe you're having a brewski, a barley sandwich. Having yourself a nice wobbly pop. I don't know. Maybe you're doing shots of tequila. I don't know what you're doing over there. Just take it easy, though. Just take it easy. Don't go too crazy with the giggle water now. A hot toddy, says Torque Train. A hot toddy. Sure, why? Yeah, maybe later on into closer to the holiday season, maybe I'll have that on next weekend show. Speaking of which, next Sunday, December 22nd, the usual, bat time and bat channel and all that for the live show, but it's going to be a holiday special. I'm going to look at old-timey Canadian Christmas stuff and just kind of celebrate the holiday season, the Christmas time. And then the week after that, December 29th, will be the New Year show. So do all the things down here to make sure you get the notifications for all that coming up. Yeah, you probably still won't get the notifications. I'm sorry, it's not my fault. It's nothing I can do. You know how it is with some of us in this community and our channels. I was talking about that with Chris, Old World Exploration, on our Knucklehead show there last night. Episode 14, by the way, where we talked about Quebec City. It's a great show. We had a great time. Always have a great time with my friend Chris. Anyway, I'm yammering on here. Let's get down to brass tacks. I'll settle down now, Frankie, and get going with the dang show now here, will you? Decaf green tea with coconut sugar. There you go. I'm not much of a tea drinker, but if I am going to drink tea, it's going to be in the evening or at night before a guy puts his head down on the pillar, but it's going to be a decaf tea. But I put a little bit of honey in my tea, you see. Or sometimes I have the chai tea. I don't even put anything in that. I just take her straight up like a whiskey in a saloon in the Wild West. All right, let's get into this. Let's look at this George Murdoch cat here. As mentioned, links below. We're going to look at the Wikipedia, of course, because, short of a guy trudging all the way over to the library and pulling out some books on the guy, if there even are any, I don't know. It's basically what we got to work with here. And besides, it is wacky. That's why I like to call it Wikipedia. And I like to make fun of it. All right, George Murdoch. Spelled D-O-C-H. Okay. It's a Scottish guy. George Murdoch, born April 29th, 1850. Passed on February 2nd, 1910. So he only lived to be like 60. He was a Canadian politician, Alberta pioneer, saddle maker, and the first mayor of Calgary. That's right, Cowtown, Sandstone City, Calgary, Alberta. Early life. George Murdoch was born in Paisley, Scotland. Well, famous for the textile with the Paisley pattern on it. On April 29th, 1850, and at the age of 4, Murdoch immigrated to Canada in 1854 and settled in St. John, New Brunswick. I assume with not just he at the age of 4, but he and his entire family, I'm assuming. He didn't just jump on a steamship and take me to Canada there, buddy. Anyway, where he spent much of his early years. Okay, so in St. John, New Brunswick. At the age of 18, Murdoch moved to Chicago, where he learned the trade of saddle and harness making. Murdoch returned to New Brunswick after his shop was destroyed in the 1871 Great Chicago Fire. While in New Brunswick, he married his wife, Margaret. And together they had the first 2 children in the province. In total, they had at least 3 sons and 2 daughters. At least. They're not even quite sure. They had at least 3 sons and 2 daughters. All right, here we go. He moves to Calgary now. On May 13th, 1883, George Murdoch arrived in Calgary at the age of 33. That's right. I said it, at the age of 33. Just months before the Canadian Pacific Railway would reach the community in August of 1883. You couldn't wait 3.5 months or so, George. You're in such a hurry to get out to Cowtown. Nothing going on in 1883 in Calgary, by the way. Let's just see what the population was in Calgary at that time. I think it was 1,000 people or something goofy like that. Well, in 1891, there's 3,000 people. Nothing before that. But I know what when Calgary became a town, there was only 500 people. So there you go. Anyway, in Calgary started a successful harness shop as Calgary was at its early stages. His main clientele was the Northwest Mounted Police, based in Fort Calgary, and the Blackfoot Indians, who had a reserve nearby. He was on good terms with the Blackfoot, and he'd learned to speak their language. Huh. You don't say. This guy can just do it all. In the community, Murdoch was involved with the Masonic Lodge. Okay. And the Orange Order in Canada. The Orange Order, you say, eh? What's that? It's a Canadian branch of the Orange Order, a Protestant fraternal organization that began in County Armagh. I don't know how to say that. In Ireland in 1795. It's played a large part in the history of Canada, with many prominent members, including 4 prime ministers. That's Canada's version of a president. Among them, Sir John A. Macdonald and John Diefenbaker. What do you know? And of course, he was a Mason. Anyways, he was a member of literary and history societies. So read into that what you will. Oh, and the Volunteer Fire Brigade. He was involved with the Volunteer Fire Brigade. He was one of the founders of Calgary's Presbyterian Church and the first president of the Calgary St. Andrew's Society. Being one of the first permanent businessmen in Calgary, he was an active participant in securing the incorporation of Calgary from the government of the Northwest Territories in November 1884. Played a pivotal role in the formation of the town of Calgary, joining prominent civic leaders as elected members of the 7-person civic committee, town council. On December 4th, 1884, he was elected the first mayor of the town of Calgary and was re-elected on January 1886, holding the post until October 21st, 1886. Murdoch, along with councillors Isaac Sanford Freeze, Really? Sanford Freeze is this guy's name?
I don't believe you.
Not really too sure there, but okay. And Dr. Neville James Lindsay. Oh, I say Dr. Neville James Lindsay. Yes, of course. He was removed from office effective October 21st, 1886, by a special territorial ordinance issued by the stipendiary magistrate, some judge. Rumors were rampant that both Murdoch and the town's police chief, James Ingram, was receiving kickbacks from brothels and saloon keepers. Great. Crooked politician, you don't say. He brought a charge of corruption against Murdoch and council over irregularities in a voters list. Oh. Travis found Murdoch and the councillors guilty, disqualifying them from running in the 1886 election, barring them from municipal office for 2 years, and fining Murdoch $100, 100 Canadian doll hairs, and the councillors $20 each. Taylor notes council added about 78 names to the voters list without notice of sworn testimony, but the names added appeared to have the qualifications necessary to be entitled to be on the voters list. Taylor found treating the actions of council as cease of personal corruption was erroneous in law and irregular in form. Furthermore, he noted punishment of removal from office, disqualification for re-election was extreme. So the election occurred as planned January 6th, 1886, with Murdoch and the councillors on the ballot and the irregular voting list in use. Murdoch, with a majority of 180 votes, wins the election. So there you go. So that's a couple of red flags. This Orange Order, Masonic Lodge, rigging elections, being cahoots with brothels and saloon keepers and pimps and I don't know what else. Boats and hoes? I don't know. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Anyway. Martin's here, everybody. Martin 11. Howdy, Martin. Thanks for shooting in. So, yeah, definitely some shenanigans going on with this George Murdoch fella. So let's see what else is going on here. So it said that he basically lost his business in the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Then he moved back up to New Brunswick for a little while, a spell, before moving out to Calgary with at least 5 kids. They're not sure, but they figure it was at least 5. Anyways, let's quickly review the Great Chicago Fire. Just for shits and giggles here. Great Chicago Fire was a conflagration that burned in the American city of Chicago during October 8th through the 10th, 1871. The fire deleted approximately 300 people, destroying 3.3 square miles or 9 square clicks of the city, including over 17,000 structures, and left more than 100,000 residents homeless. The fire began in a neighborhood southwest of the city center. A long period of hot, dry, windy conditions and the wooden construction prevalent in the city led to the conflagration spreading quickly. The fire leapt the south branch of the Chicago River. Amazing, a fire could just jump over massive bodies of water, and destroyed much of central Chicago, and then crossed the main stem of the river, consuming the near north side. Oh, it's just jumping. That's, the don't ever throw water on a fire to put it out, I guess, because the fire will just jump out of the way. Help flowed to the city from near and far after the fire. The city government improved building codes to stop the rapid spread of future fires and rebuild rapidly to those higher standards. A donation from the United Kingdom spurred the establishment of the Chicago Public Library. So it wasn't Carnegie, eh? What's going on, Carnegie? You cheapskate. You couldn't donate a library to Chicago after the fire? You tight-fisted bastard. Origin. The fire is said to have started at 8:30 p.m., October 8, in and around a small barn belonging to the O'Leary family that bordered the alley behind yada, yada, yada. The shed next to the barn was the first building to be consumed by the fire. City officials never determined the cause of the blaze, but the rapid spread of the fire due to a long drought that year summer, strong winds from southwest, and the rapid destruction of the water pumping system explain the extensive damage of the mainly wooden city structures. So they're not blaming it on the cow no more, but they're still pointing the finger at poor old Mrs. O'Leary. Blame it on the Irish, I guess. It's not very nice, if you ask me. You shouldn't really be doing that. It's just my opinion, but anywho. So it spread, firefighters finally arrived. The fire had grown and spread to neighboring buildings. Was progressing toward the central business district. Firefighters had hoped that the south branch of the Chicago River, an area that had previously thoroughly burned, would act as a natural fire break. So there was already a place that was thoroughly burned over here. So it couldn't possibly burn a second time. Nope, it did. Lumber yards, warehouses, coal yards. Oh, man. Of course, it burnt down bridges that crossed the river. That maybe I can buy a little more than the fire just leapt across the river like an Olympic athlete. Howdy, Castle. Castle in the pasture, in the box. Good to see you. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, we've all kind of heard and seen about it. Days and weeks following the fire, monetary donations flowed into the city from around the country and abroad. Food, clothing, other goods, individuals, corporations, and cities. New York gave $450,000 along with clothing and provisions. St. Louis gave $300,000. The Common Council of London gave 1,000 guineas. I have no idea how much that is. As well as £7,000 sterling from private donations. In Greenock, Scotland, population 40,000, a town meeting raised £518 on the spot. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Buffalo, all commercial rivals donated hundreds and thousands of dollars. Milwaukee, along with other nearby cities, helped by sending firefighting equipment, food, clothing, and books. Well, yeah, gotta fill that new library. So anyway, there you go. The great Chicago fire. So poor old George Murdoch lost his business in the great Chicago fire. So that's terrible. Let's just go back to old Georgie here for a second and see. As I present to you, I forgot to do the whole oyez, oyez. Hear ye, this court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Frankie Fingers presiding here in the District of Purdy, Alberta. All rise. All right, thanks a lot, eh? You can be seated and sit down there, eh, bud? Take her easy there, eh? This court's now in session there, bud. Going to present the case against George Martin there, eh? So a shop was destroyed in 1871 Great Chicago Fire. So he says, you know what? I'm gonna get me back up to New Brunswick, man, and just the fire was she was rough. She was rough on me. So I guess he went back to New Brunswick to regroup. Then he gets married and has at least 5 kids, and then makes his way to Calgary. Gets involved in all kinds of shenanigans to do with the Calgary political scene and, buying elections, rigging elections, I should say, not buying them, rigging them. Because he was a member of the Orange Brigade, which pretty much ran things with the Masons anyway. So, not much of a stretch. Not to mention he was one of the first dudes to supposedly live out here and establish a business. So this guy was a powerful man, mighty powerful, I guess. So in 1871, he loses his business in Chicago and he goes back home to St. John, New Brunswick. But wouldn't you know it, St. John, New Brunswick has a great fire. The Great Fire of St. John was an urban fire that devastated much of St. John, New Brunswick in 1877, destroying 2/5 of the city. Yeah, exactly. Just dipping their toes in everything and being as crooked as a country road. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there you go, Vaughn. You can be you folks in the box can be literally in the jury box and be the jury of peers. Not that I would consider this guy, this crooked son of a gun here, a peer of you good people, but you get what I'm driving at. Anyways, on June 16th, 1877, according to a schoolboy known only as Harry, what the hell kind of a way is this to kick off the official story of the Great Fire? I mean, it's not just it was just some fire. No, it was the Great Fire of St. John, implying that there was more than one fire at some point in their history. And they started off with, on June 16th, 1877, according to a schoolboy known only as Harry.
What?
Anyway, moving on. An elderly First Nations chief spoke to a number of boys, telling them to warn their parents to move away before St. John is destroyed on June 19th. So they started off with an old world Mi'kmaq, and the box can back me up on this. They started off on a wise old Indian that can foretell the future, apparently, and gives the European settlers a heads up. Just, hey, brother, there's going to be something bad going down in a couple of days, but you want to tell your families to skedaddle there, eh? So this Indigenous Canadian First Nations person, Canadian Indian, tells a number of boys, and then, Harry is a witness to this, and that ends up in the official story. So there you go. That seems pretty legit. At 2:30 in the afternoon on June 20th, 1877, a spark fell in Henry Fairweather's storehouse in the York Point Slip area, down by the docks, eh? So that damn dirty elderly First Nations chief, he wasn't even just a regular guy, he was a chief now. He lied. He was off by a day. I guess it's not bad, though. Anyways, 9 hours later, the fire had destroyed over 80? Yeah, over 80 hectares or 200 acres and 1,612 structures, including 8 churches, 6 banks, 14 hotels, 11 schooners, those are boats, and then 4 other wooden boats. Why does a small town in 1870s like St. John, New Brunswick have 14 hotels? Anyways, wow, that's a lot of hotels, man. The fire had deleted approximately 19 people and injured many more. Approximately 13,000 people were left homeless as a result of the fire. The fire continued to burn approximately 40 hours. Oh, but sorry, bud, no photographs exist of the fire. Oh, that's convenient. I mean, it's the 1870s. You had cameras. Hell, I have cameras from the 1870s. However, some survivors' accounts of the blaze tell that the fire came so close to the harbor that it looked like the water was on fire. Well, yeah, brick, stone, water, apparently. Fire just laughs at these things. Here, hold my beer, says fire, when he sees water, brick, or stone. Brick or stone building, I'm just going to burn it down. But it's brick and stone. Fine, I'll still burn it down. That's impossible. No, watch me go. And then, well, there's no way that the fire can overcome water. It's going to be defeated by water. It's approaching the river. No, I'm just going to leap like a gazelle. Like a luchador-style wrestler over the river. Oh, okay. So why bother creating fire breaks by blowing up buildings and whatnot, or clear-cutting swathes of strips of forest to create, fire breaks in case there's a forest fire? What's the purpose of all that? The fire can just leap like a, I don't know, something that leaps, man. I don't know. I stumped myself. Fire gazelles were big back then. Yes, exactly. Fire's unstoppable, says Vaughn. I'm surprised I'm not on fire now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Old World Mi'kmaq says, interesting. I heard some groups tried to eradicate the natives just before the fire, but it backfired. Really? In New Brunswick, eh? Well, huh. That is interesting. Well, that's where your nation is, in and around there too, right? Old World Mi'kmaq is over in New Brunswick. I mean, I know Nova Scotia and Maine. I mean, those are givens, but I want to say New Brunswick as well. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. Like, this is 2 cities now that this guy has lived in these cities. So I present to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the Great Fire of Miramichi. I'm going to just put that right in the goggle machine right now. Just even just a bookmark it for later. Miramichi. Did I read that right? Yeah, Miramichi. Okay. Just making sure there, 1825. New Brunswick. Look at that. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Wele, Nidab. Wele. It's great. All right, guy's gonna bookmark that one just for later on there, eh? Thank you. I see. Okay. Now I understand. Yeah, different sections or territories of land. And then I'm sure some crosses over and is shared. Yeah, you come fish over here if we could get some firewood from over there, eh, bud? Yeah, okay. Just don't goof around over here. Anyway, so yeah, that's 2 places that this George Murdoch guy, okay, he's in Chicago. He's running a successful business. Then, whoops, Great Chicago Fire loses his business. So what does he do? He goes back to New Brunswick, where he grew up, in St. John, New Brunswick. And whoops, a fire there in St. John, New Brunswick, while he's living there. Now, I understand circumstantial evidence here. 1, okay, you can write it off as a coincidence. 2, but I know what you're thinking. Well, surely, Frankie, there couldn't be a third city where this Murdoch character lived that had a great fire. I mean, that's just absolutely unfathomable. Unfathomable. Boom, I present the Great Calgary Fire of 1886. The Calgary Fire, also known as the Great Calgary Fire of 1886, was a conflagration that burned in the Canadian city of Calgary on Sunday, November 7th, 1886. The fire began at the rear wall of a local flour and feed store and spread throughout the community's wooden structures, leading to the destruction of 18 buildings. Now, I have read some sources that say 17, others say 19, but we'll go with the Wikipedia's 18. The fire resulted in changes in local construction practices to stop the likelihood and rapid spread of future fires, including an increased reliance on sandstone for new structures, which resulted in the town's early nickname of Sandstone City. Yeehaw! Come on up to Calgary. That's Cowtown, y'all. Sandstone City we are. So the background on this fire. The town of Calgary was officially incorporated exactly 2 years earlier on November 7th, 1884. Wait a second. Exactly? November 7th, 1886. November 7th, 1884. Huh. You don't say.
Horseshit!
Anyway, moving along. The municipal government was in disorder following the events of the 1886 election with our buddy here, Georgie Murdoch, Georgie M., the Doc, which saw incumbent Mayor George Murdoch decisively win the election, which was overturned by a judge for election list fraud and appointed James Riley as mayor, replacing 2 other members of council. Neither faction was capable of governing the town. Nice job, Judge. Anyway, which led to the newly ordered chemical engine for the recently organized Calgary Fire Department, Calgary Hook and Ladder and Buckets Corps, to be held in the Canadian Pacific Railway storage yard due to lack of payment. You have got to be kidding me. Because of the goofiness with the election, with George Murdoch rigging the election, who, by the way, was a member of the volunteer fire department, fire brigade in Calgary, the only one in Calgary. And because of all the disarray with the election, they didn't pay CP Rail, so they held their fire engine. You know, the ones that you see on the old-timey videos or in photos, the horses are pulling them and there's steam coming out of them. Right? Those are the steam pumps that operate, that shoot the water. This is absolutely the goofiest thing that I've heard in quite some time. I mean, does that make sense to you in the box?
Well, that's just silly.
Silly, yes. Idiotic, yes.
Local government would be restored a few days before the fire on November 3rd with a municipal election, which saw George Cliff King elected mayor. Fire and aftermath. In the early morning of November 7th, 2 years to the day, flames were reported at the rear wall of Parish and Son Flour and Feed Store. The Calgary Hook and Ladder Bucket Corps was sent to battle the fire and broke into the Canadian Pacific Railway's freight shed to retrieve the impounded chemical engine. Get the hell out of here. That's just lawlessness and disorder out here. Meanwhile, Fort Calgary is here in Calgary, where the Northwest Mounted Police are supposed to be. What were they doing? The fire department's breaking into the CP Rail freight sheds. That's fine. Just let them do their thing, eh? Got to put out the fire. I mean, this is goofy, man. The Corps determined it was necessary to form a fire break. There it is. No, the fire's just going to leap, I tell you, to prevent further damage. Like little Orphan Annie used to say, leaping lizards. The former mayor, George Murdoch, agreed, participating in the demolition of his harness shop. Insurance fraud. An attempt was made to use gunpowder to blow up Murdoch's store. However, the Calgary Weekly Herald noted that this failed owing to the force of the charge not being sufficiently concentrated. They couldn't blow up the Old World building that he commandeered. The fire was stopped, then extinguished after the break was created. This would be the second time George Murdoch would lose a business to fire, the first being in 1871, the Great Chicago Fire. There it is, right as plain as a nose on your face, right there. Wikipedia even says it. But this is actually the third fire in a city in which George Murdoch lived and was a business owner of. So you let me know what you think about that. I just think this is fishy as all hell. Ultimately, 14 buildings were destroyed or razed in attempts to control the blaze, including 4 stores, 3 warehouses, 3 hotels, a tinsmith shop, and a saloon. Well, yeah, George didn't want to blow up too many saloons and brothels because he was in cahoots with those buggers. He was, wetting his beak with a little bit of cashola, a little payola, a little bit of green on the side. You see what I'm saying? Losses were estimated at 103,200 Canadian doll hairs. However, no one was deleted or injured. Authorities suggest arson may have been involved, but no arrests were made. To reduce potential future fires, city officials drafted a bylaw requiring all large downtown buildings were to be built with sandstone, which was readily available nearby in the form of Pascapoo sandstone. Pascapoo is, that's where Canada Olympic Park is here in Calgary, where we had the 88 Winter Olympics. But it used to be known as Pascapoo Ski Hill. That's, I'm assuming, a Blackfoot Indigenous Native Indian word for something. Snowy hill or something, maybe, or I don't know. Don't break your leg going down there on the snow, buddy, or something. Anyway, following the fire, several quarries were opened around the city by prominent local businessmen, including Thomas Edworthy. Yeah, there's a city park named after that guy. Wesley Fletcher Orr, is that Bobby Orr's granddaddy? I don't know. J.G. McCallum, no idea who he is, and William Oliver. Buildings built with sandstone following the fire include the Knox Presbyterian Church in 1887, Imperial Bank Building in 1887, Calgary City Hall, 1911, and Calgary Courthouse Number 2, 1914. They're just whacking them up in the 1880s. Or were those buildings already there, and because they were made of sandstone, they weren't destroyed in the Great Calgary Fire? So there you go. There is my case against George Murdoch, the defendant. And again, as a reminder here to all of you fine folks in the box, in the jury box, that, there's a couple of red flags here with the guy involving our buddies, the Freemasons, as well as the Orange Order. He was a member of the fire brigade in Calgary whilst the fire was burning. He was a business owner in 3 cities and lost businesses in all 3 of those cities due to great fires: Chicago, St. John, New Brunswick, and Calgary, Alberta. Again, to be the first to admit, this is all circumstantial evidence, but I think he was in cahoots in some way, shape, or fashion think he was maybe, and I think insurance fraud was just, and not to mention election fraud, was just the tip of the iceberg of what this guy was involved with. Especially when he moved out to the sticks, out to the wild ass, ain't nothing going on out here yet, prairies of Calgary in 1883. Hell, the railroad wasn't even here yet, according to Wikipedia. And he comes here by way of St. John, New Brunswick, where he lost a business in a fire. Prior to that, Chicago, where he lost a business in a fire. And then lo and behold, he loses a business in Calgary for the Great Calgary Fire. So I think with that, I shall give the jury a chance to recess and deliberate before you come back with your verdict of guilty or not guilty on 3 counts of the charge of willful arson upon George Murdoch. And with that, we're going to take a mid-show break. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage video coming up Wednesday, as always, and every Wednesday. You know, a guy likes to find old black and white video footage. The older, the better. Try to find Canadian stuff, or at least put it to Canadian music. No exception this week coming up on Wednesday. What have I got for you this year, this time? You know, if a guy planned ahead, he could have got you a nice St. John video or something. But no, I've got you the San Diego World Exposition from 1915. Just a wee scotch, a titch, short of 4 minutes long. Smoke them if you got them. Put on your ear goggles and turn it up to 11.5. And I'll see you on the other side of 4 minutes with your verdict. All right? Jury is dismissed for a 4-minute recess. All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Frankie here, New West Reset. Thank you once again for shooting in, joining a fella here for another live one, New West Reset Live, episode 96, here today on this Sunday, December 15th, 2024. Right around, I'll call it close enough, right around 6 p.m. here. Close enough to 6 p.m. anyway. Mountain time, local time. As always, we're coming to you from Cowtown, Sandstone City, Calgary, here in Purdy, Alberta. Thank you very much for joining me. Winding down your weekend here with yours truly on this Sunday fun day. And it's a pretty nice day, a little chilly, creeping up on minus 10, or creeping down, I should say, to minus 10 Celsius. So, a little bit more seasonally appropriate. Our Chinook winds are starting to wane and weaken, and our normal winter weather is going to come back like a punch in the face. But it's fine. Thanks for winding down your weekend with me here. As mentioned, we're still having fun. It's still Sunday fun day. Doesn't matter what's going on outside. So if you're just joining, thank you very much. Give a guy one of these. Certainly appreciate it. Links below for everything we covered at the top of the show with the Wikipedia when it comes to George Murdoch, former mayor of Calgary from the 1880s. I laid out my arguments, my opening statement and my arguments, and showed you, circumstantial as it may have been, the evidence that I think was enough to bring former Calgary Mayor George Murdoch to trial for 3 counts of arson. And what the hell, I'm going to throw in a conspiracy to commit arson. And also insurance fraud, too. Anyway, and election fraud. But we're just looking at fires here. This guy's closely associated with 3 great fires. Losing your business to 1, that sucks. It's kind of a coincidence. 2, okay, that perks a guy's ears up a bit, raises a few red flags. But 3 of them, come on now. Anyways, I put a poll. That's it. A poll in the chat, in the box. I'll end it here in a couple of minutes. See what's what. But yeah, basically, guilty or not guilty is the poll. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. Who have we got in the box? Kathy's here. Castle in the pasture. Good to see you. Howdy, hippie. Thanks for shooting in. Thanks for sharing all the links and keeping an eye on things as well. Wiley's here. Mighty Mouse over on the Bumble says, not guilty due to Murdoch being a made-up name by AI. You certainly may be onto something there. For sure. Turtle's here. Hey, Turtle's here, everybody. Carmichael in the box. Howdy, good to see you, Carmichael. Torque Train. So, Vaughn, yeah, I think Vaughn's he's still working the night shift or something's going on over there. No, it's not night for him, is it? No, it's morning. He's heading out to work. So, yeah, be careful out there, Vaughn. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. So I figured for the second half of the show, because, yeah, I mean, we're just kind of goofing around here. I mean, I definitely have my suspicions with this guy, but, I mean, let's face it.
You know what I mean? All right, we're having a good time.
I'm just kind of yanking chains here. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy says I'd make a great prosecutor. I have been told in the past that, wow, you should have been a lawyer. Especially, ex-girlfriends and so on. You get in disagreements or arguments with your significant other, and at the end, you just have a football scoring win time after time. And finally, they look at you and go, oh, man, you should have been a lawyer. Why is that? I hate arguing with you. I'm like a dog with a bone. Like I said, it's all good fun. Very circumstantial, but I'm going to shut the poll down here in the poll and see what the results are. Is George Murdoch guilty of 3 counts of willful arson and conspiracy to commit arson? 87% say yes, 12% no, 8 votes. Thank you very much. Muchly appreciated taking part in my shenanigans and chicanery. Now, I do have a small photo file I thought we could have a look at here as well. Just, again, as reminders, what we've been talking about with the Chicago fire. I think I do have some photos of the St. John, New Brunswick, not the fire itself, but the aftermath of the fire. Same with Chicago, as well as the Calgary fire. So we might as well go in numerical order. Starting in 1871 in Chi-Town. See what we got here. Why do I it's doing funny things with me here on this thing? It's presenting it in a weird, super wide frame that is a goofy size. Why are you doing that? Anyway, I'm just talking to my computer. Yeah, there you go. That's right. Torque trains as Calgary flames, indeed. Precisely. Not a huge file. Just, a few photos from each of the great fires. Oh, man, where did I go? Oh, there I am. Oh, phew. Got scared there for a second. This is Chicago, down by the docks. Of course, you can see the ship masts and so on. Again, 1871. Not really sure why. I guess they're going to tell us they've already started cleaning up after the fire. The fire that destroyed brick buildings. Another brick building here. They'll say, oh no, these were the ones that they TNT'd or used dynamite or whatever to create the fire break. No, the fire didn't destroy them. Got some really low arched openings down here, by the way. Here's your street level. So, some looks like brick or stone or masonry down here, way below ground level as well. So that's fine. Not a problem there. This wooden shack, they better be trying to tell us that they built this after the fire, because if this survives and these didn't, that's it. I'm going to lose my mind. My brain is going to go, shut it down, Frankie. And I'm going to go into some kind of conniption fit induced coma. But it's got to be legit, because there's the ladder. So shout out to Douglas on UAP channel for ye oldie ladder lean. You know, if you see a ladder leaning in the photo, it's completely, everything's legit. That old steam boat in the background, that's cool. Another one here. But here you can see where the fire just leapt over the water here to the other side and just caused havoc. Well, it's a good thing they got the horse-drawn trolleys up and running. That's the first thing you want to do is you got to get people out and moving and paying 10 cents to gawk at the destruction, I guess. Yeah, that's right. Carmichael in the box says the Toronto fire in the early 1900s. As the buildings are burning, you can see people blowing up the rest of the buildings with dynamite. They even filmed it. Yeah, I think I put that up on my channel. Speaking of vintage footage, way back in the day, like a couple of years ago, I think. I put that up. Yeah, it's amazing how convenient it was for people to be able to get their old-timey movie cameras out there on that, Edison film, or maybe it was Kodak film. But yeah, it's crazy. But here, yeah, you gotta make sure your horse-drawn trolleys, you gotta clear the roads here for your horse-drawn streetcar trolley tram things. Guys are just, why are you just standing precariously perched on this edge? I mean, you're going to fall in now. Be careful now, you fool. It's just brick underneath this facading here. See that? This plate sort of broken away. Yeah, you can see here the brick. I guess a few made it. One's right across for them or right next to them, completely destroyed. But some of them made it for whatever reason. I guess fire can only leap so far. I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't get rid of this. I mean, this would be the perfect opportunity for because you know they got to explain all this, right? Like, what's with all this stuff? Why build it like this? So you know, it would have been no questions, just move along, right? They could have TNT'd it, they could have let it catch fire, whatever they want to say happened to it. But nope, this one gets a pass for whatever reason. Dodged a bullet, I guess. Scott Pike's here. Good to see you. I think this is the last one. No, there's a couple more in the file. I mean, it just kind of starts to look the same after a while. You've got, I guess these are stairwells and chimneys in some older buildings. But again, here you see this big bugger. It's totally fine. One next to it, across the street, and on this side of it, completely destroyed. Fires are very choosy, I guess. I mean, the tree, totally fine. Masonry building, completely obliterated. Guess they're starting to rebuild here already. I don't know. So yeah, that's just a reminder, the file for the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Let's have a look at the St. John, New Brunswick Fire of 1877. Again, this one, it's no photos of the fire, only depictions of the aftermath, shall we say. You know, paintings, oil paintings, renderings, drawings, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, they kind of do, right? A lot of them look like they've been monkeyed with. Anyway, let's have a look at the St. John, New Brunswick Fire of 1877. I mean, whether it's an artistic rendering of some sort or whether it's a photograph, I mean, the idea and the look of it is the same. Get these massive stone buildings, whether they're brick or stone, and somehow the fire completely obliterates them. This is actually a photo from the aftermath. I'm not sure what's going on. It's not the best photo. You can see some buildings were allowed to dodge a bullet, then others just rubble. Yeah, I mean, it kind of does look like, you know, like boom booms went off or something. And then again, they can hand wave that, right? They can do their verbal gymnastics and mental gymnastics by saying, well, yes, of course, we freely admit we destroyed buildings. We bloated them up real good. What'd you do that for? To create fire breaks. Oh, I see. You blew up buildings and destroyed them to save them from being destroyed by a fire. Thank you, Mark. Mark from Our Melted Reality in the box. Great live last night, Frankie. You humor towards all of this fantastic. Great commentary and research. Well, thank you. Well, I do think that George Murdoch is guilty guilty of starting these fires or being involved. I mean, he may not have put the match to the oily rags, but he's definitely has something to do with these fires. 3 cities, 3 fires with this guy. Plus, he's a crooked politician. Plus, he's a Freemason. Plus, Orange Order of Canada. Plus, he was a member of the volunteer fire department in Calgary. I mean, the list, as long as my right arm. You know what I'm saying? There's another photo of the aftermath. This one not allowed to be spared for whatever reason, probably because it was too embellished and beautifully detailed. You could see all the stacked brick, even in this crappy, pixelated, super pickleated photo. You can see columns with all kinds of embellishment. Oh, so that one had to go. You can see here, nothing left but chimneys. So you're telling me that fire will destroy a brick building like this, but it won't destroy a brick chimney like this? Make up your dang mind, fire. Like, which one is it? It just doesn't make sense.
Oh, shit!
Anyways, I'm not even... What's this pile of pipe here, by the way? These, it looks like pipes. You can see some sort of elbow-shaped pipes, some that branch off of one another, some straight pipes. Fire is now destroying the plumbing too now, or are they now they're going to say no, we're putting in the fire hydrants and the underground water system to feed the fire hydrants to put out fires in the future. I mean, I don't know. So this is the tent camp, Great St. John Fire, 1877. These families were assigned to bell tents on Barrack Green, St. John, in May and June of 1877. Well, at least it wasn't in the winter. Soon, clusters of shanties assembled from cheap lumber and builder's paper claimed space on the military ground. Even more huts crowded the ballast wharf. But yeah, thousands of people were left homeless. Now, I'm wondering if this is a city that was founded. Some of the buildings they had trouble explaining away or couldn't repair after the cataclysm were destroyed. The ones that they could sort of fix up and give a Victorian tart up, they did. Reversed engineered some of the tech if they could figure it out somehow, and then just claimed them, renovated them, renovated them. And these are people coming in. These are people coming in, and they've got their tent city set up, and they're waiting to be able to, all right, because it says here they were assigned to bell tents. Well, why not be assigned to buildings too? Okay, you folks can live, you 3 families can live in that building. You folks over here can, you can buy that house. You folks over here, you can rent this building. And you can buy that house over there or whatever. Again, I'm just spitballing. But here's the fine fellers that do such a bang-up job of, well, I was going to say putting out fires, but really just blowing up buildings, apparently, is what they did. At least they had their pumper. They didn't have to break into a CP storage facility to steal it. What's going on with these in the background? All this and all this back here. Wow. St. John, New Brunswick. Not to be confused with St. John's, Newfoundland. Because that's Canada for you. We like to make it real confusing and just people just be like, what the? So quite a few photos of the Great Chicago Fire or the aftermath thereof, and a couple, like about 4 or 5 of the St. John Fire. Let's see what's going on. I've got a file here too for the Great Calgary Fire. Let's have a look at that here real quick. Just open that up for you. And this one, if you've been around here for a while, I've shared this on the channel many times. In fact, recently, I figured out that there's a lie associated with this, but that's okay. So this is the only photograph that's available of the Great Calgary Fire. Why are you not letting me zoom it there, buddy? Is it because it's a PNG file? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, you can see it fine. So a little whiff of smoke here and a bunch of personal and business belongings moved out of these wooden buildings under the street in case the fire spreads and leaps, I should say, over to here. But you see this building back here has 2 onion dome towers on either side of it. Ignore this thing up in the middle. This long thing, that's the tech from this building. But this, I can't zoom in. I'm not sure why it's not letting me. But anyway, this onion dome and this onion dome back here are from a church that they said was knocked down in 1884. But meanwhile, this photo is from the Great Calgary Fire of 1886, and there it is, still there in the background. Oh, no, sorry, it's the other way around. They said it wasn't built until 1888, but it's already there in the 1886 photo. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I mean, either way, it's a lie, but that's what it is. They say that this, which is the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Calgary, was built in 1888, and this photo is from the Great Calgary Fire of 1886. So a 2-year lie. That's the lie, Kathy. Yeah, so this is the only photo. I mean, I have looked high and low. I've looked in the Calgary Museum archives. This is the only photo that you can find of the Great Calgary Fire, or the aftermath, or whatever. There have been other fires in the 20s and 30s that you can find photos of. Now, I want to say it's because Vancouver, British Columbia, had a fire. I think it was the same day, if I'm not mistaken. And you can find all kinds of photos of the Great Vancouver Fire on the interwebs. But with the Calgary Fire, nope, just one. I'm just going to quickly goggle the Great Vancouver Fire. No, same year, but June 13th, 1886. Whereas Calgary's was in November of 1886. So yeah, I think that's what I think. Rather suspicious. Yeah, that's what I mean, and there are other photos of that old church, which I did dig up and share on that stream. Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is it's getting harder and harder to trust the photos, you know. Some of us are pretty good at spotting the photo manipulation, right? Now, of course, they could easily just write it off as, oh, it's a clerical error, it was a mistake, somebody somewhere made a mistake, and the church actually was built in 1886, to which I would say, oh, so you're saying it was built in a year because the photo was taken in 1886. So is it one of those one-year wonder, fantabulous old world Mason buildings, you know, whether it be brick or stone? And that one happened to be stone. So I don't know. You tell me what you think. It looks like, you know, it was a pretty overwhelming majority in the poll. So Castle in the Pasture says, can we vote twice? Yeah, Kathy says guilty. Yeah. I think a lot of people Definitely calling guilty on that one. I think I remember seeing a few before I cut to the vintage footage sneak a peek. Yeah, here we go. Guilty. Yeah, guilty. Masonic the Hedgehog playing his usual end game, burn and run. Yeah. It's funny, you know, how these guys are. Oh yeah, we have lots to do with these buildings. You have lots to do with reclaiming and destroying them, or you know, I could even give you credit with, you know, giving them the Victorian tart up to make some of them look like the old world buildings that emulate the pre-cataclysm buildings. I can even give you that, you know, with some of the kits that were available in the, you know, the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1890s. But yeah, I'm definitely calling shenanigans on this guy, this George Murdoch. I by self-appointed decree, Frankie Fingers, do hereby find George Murdoch guilty of 3 counts of willful arson and 3 counts of conspiracy to commit arson for the 3 great fires, one in Chicago, one in St. John, and one in Calgary. So there you go. So say ye. Let it be so. And sentencing, I sentence you to become paralyzed and then to be to shed the mortal coil. Oh, that's actually what really happened to him in real life. Oh, shame. Well, there you go. I mean, who knows? He could have been being. I mean, we already know he was getting kickbacks from the saloon and brothel owners when he was mayor. So, you know, what's to say he didn't take advantage of his position in the Calgary Fire Brigade as well to get kickbacks to either set places on fire or let them burn. Said I can't prove that he put, you know, he was the one who physically put the matches to the buildings. But well, yeah, there you go. That's right. Yeah, because I think, let me just pull it up again here real quick, because I think he was he didn't end up being, he passed away. Yeah, here it is. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but I'm gonna laugh. Sorry. There it is. In later life, Murdoch suffered from paralysis, and then he shed his mortal coil in Calgary on February 2nd, 1910. So there you go. There you go. There it be. Possibly. Maybe use one of those Archimedes lens fire things. Archimedes, what was it called? Archimedes cannon or whatever. Lens, Archimedes lens. You know, like you burn ants with a magnifying glass, but on a humongous scale. Absolutely humongous. The Lord humongous. What? Castle and the Pastor says the character Murdoch in MacGyver had a burned face. Oh, was he played by that actor? You know that actor I'm talking about. I do remember MacGyver, but I don't remember it well enough that I could, you know, remember specifics per se. Vincent in the box says, hey, gang, just checking in. We'll have to catch the replay. Good to see you, Vincent. Cousin Vinny over here. You get your Frankie Fingers and you get your Cousin Vinny.
So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing.
No.
What?
No.
What I said about Frankie Fingers.
Oh.
That Frankie
Oh,
Fingers
yeah.
a New West Reset of the sand.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, she don't stand no cheating. She don't stand none of that.
Good to see you, Vinny. Hope everything's doing well for you out there in Vancouver land. I guess you're going to be coming back here to Cowtown pretty soon over the holidays for Christmas. So we'll have to get together for a bite to eat and something. Maybe some Christmas cheer. Anyway, it's good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. So there you go. Guilty as charged. George Murdoch. I've been digging into this guy for a long time now, and he's been a bee in my bonnet for quite a while. Like a pebble in your shoe. You know when a guy's walk along minding his own business? Scoodly dip bop bop a do. What a beautiful day. Bop baby. And all of a sudden, yow! I got a stone, a pebble in my shoe. Yeah, that was George Murdoch for me for quite a while. And as I dug deeper, I'm like, wait a second here. This guy's shadier than a Sith Lord. I don't know. Yeah, he was a thorn in my side, definitely. Definitely a thorn in a guy's side. So now I got that off my chest with this guy. I can move on to other stuff. So as a reminder, next week, a week from today, from right now, my holiday special, my Christmas special. So I would be honored and thrilled if you would join me for that. It'll be the same time. I'll start it at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, local time here in Calgary. It's up here in Canada land there, eh, buddy? And then the week after, I'll do my New Year's show. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do for the New Year's show. Maybe I'll do like a subscriber Q&A. What do you think of that? Just take questions and I don't know. Maybe I'll have like a jukebox playing in the background of the, we'll just roll a whole bunch of the vintage footage playlist and let that play in the background. And we'll just do a survivor. We're all survivors, barely. A subscriber Q&A for the New Year's show on the 29th. What do you think? Ah, that's a good question. Old World Mi'kmaq saying, is that Brunswick record from New Brunswick? No. Brunswick was in, I think, in New York. New York City! Hey, the Phoenix is here. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Cheers. So, yeah, the Christmas show will be, we'll look at old-timey Canadian Christmas and have some fun with that. Have some Christmas cheer. Maybe I'll have a hot toddy. Or at least a spiked hot cocoa or something. I don't know. That'll be on the 22nd. And then, the 29th, New Year. The New Year's Eve on the 29th. So not really New Year's Eve show. Wait, you telling me there's a New York? Yeah. No, there's only York. They call it Toronto now. Because New York was New Amsterdam, not to be confused with Amsterdam, but don't confuse New York with York. So we'll change the name of New Amsterdam to New York, but then there was York, so we'll change it to Toronto. What the hell? So yeah, what do you think? Subscriber Q&A for the New Year show with some vintage footage going on in the background. We just have fun, party it up, have some champagne. Anyways, I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down here. But before I go, a reminder, if you haven't watched it yet, the Knuckleheads episode 14 aired live last night, which was Saturday night local time here, on my channel, New West Reset, and on my friend Chris Kelly's channel, Old World Exploration. And we looked at old Quebec City, the walled city portion of Quebec City, and found all kinds of shenanigans over there. Hey, Morgan, good to see you. I missed it. God, no. Snuck up on me. Well, it's fine. It's good to see you regardless, my friend. Wear your party clothes, which means maybe just show up Donald Ducking it, wear a shirt and tie and a jacket, but no pants. Just Donald Duck it to the party. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, links below for the Wikipedia for George Murdoch, the Orange Order of Canada, the Great Chicago Fire, the Great Fire of St. John, New Brunswick, the Great Calgary Fire. Speaking of Cousin Vinny, let's open up the goggle machine here and let's share the New West Reset location map that's Cousin Vinny's brainchild. So you open it up and it brings you to the goggle maps machine, and there's Alberta right there in Canada land. And wherever my icon is where I've done a boots on the ground video, you see. Now let's go up to Edmundchuk for a change. Oh wait, actually, you know what? Let's keep on with the theme here. Let's keep on with the theme. Yes, let's go to Cowley. Cowley in southern Alberta. You click on the icon, it opens up an address and a link to the video. You click on the link and it takes you to the video. And on this one, as you can see by the thumbnail, my buddies the Freemasons have quite a presence in this town of about 100 people or something like that. This is their town hall, the post office for Canada Post, and the Freemasons Lodge, all in one building, right there in this little town in the middle of nowhere in southern Alberta. Links below as well, as mentioned earlier, for BitChute, MeWe, the guy's email if you want to send me a Christmas card. I don't know. What do they call that? An e-card. No, don't do that. Save your money. It's ridiculous. It's not money very well spent. Money well spent would be the PayPal link, which is there. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel through the PayPal. Really appreciate that. And of course, thanks again to everybody on the HooTubes and on the Bumble. Links below. So with that, I think that is going to seal the deal here tonight. Short and sweet here for this trial of George Murdoch. It's going to seal the deal for Frankie, New West Reset. Thank you very much, all of you, for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please do all the things, all that good stuff. Take care out there. And until the next one, have yourselves a good one. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.